Is modern-day Israel a fulfillment of Bible prophecy? I have on the line Jim Fletcher, who is Director of Prophecy Matters, and Jim and I are going to be debating the topic, is modern-day Israel a fulfillment of Bible prophecy, on June 19th, 2010 at Midway Presbyterian Church in Powder Springs, Georgia. Jim, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Gary. Thanks for having me.
Now, a little bit of your background. You and I have something of a couple of common interests. We're interested in film, and at the same time, we're interested in the issue of creation. And you've been an editor at Master Books. Do you still work with Master Books?
I do not, but I still follow them closely. They do tremendous work.
Yeah, we've offered, American Vision has offered a lot of creation books from Master Books over the years. We have a pretty good creation line here ourselves. We also deal with my specialty in this area is the moral implications of Darwinism, showing people that if you're a consistent Darwinist, there really are there's no moral ethics in the world today. There's no way to account for those given a naturalistic worldview. Now, you also, I think you and I contacted one another based upon, was it a film review that you had done for WorldNet Daily? I can't remember just exactly how we got in touch with one another.
Yes, I think my memory's a bit foggy too, but I do recall that, yeah.
And I have an interest mostly in older films from the late 30s up through the early 1950s, and have written a number of worldview expositions on a lot of these older films. It's hard today to find a really good film to watch. So, and I don't know if you know Ted Baer, but he's a good friend of mine and does the Movie Guide magazine there each month.
Oh, I do. Ted is a fabulous guy, and yeah, you and I share a lot of interests. Apparently, I love old movies as well, and in fact, one of the books that we did when I was at Master Books was with Carl Kirby at Answers in Genesis. He's a great speaker, especially for youth, and he sort of went back into film archives and talked at length about evolutionary elements in films, dating back pretty far. It was really kind of shocking. I learned a lot myself.
Yeah, I love the older films. You just never know what sort of worldview ideas you're going to get from that. But you and I are going to debate the topic, is modern-day Israel a fulfillment of Bible prophecy? You're author of the book, It's the End of the World as We Know It, and I Feel Fine, borrowed from REM's song of the same name. Tell us just a little bit about the book.
Sure. Well, I've had an interest in prophecy for quite a few years. I started out as an editor with New Leaf Press, the company that owns Master Books, and back in the old days, we did quite a few books on those topics. I worked with a lot of those guys, and so a lot of time passed, and by the time I left New Leaf Press, I thought, well, I'll try a book myself, and so I looked around, and I really didn't see a treatment of the subject that was done in quite the way I thought it might be interesting to do, which is to, try to reach maybe a student audience, because, when you go to a lot of these conferences, it's no secret that it's an older crowd, which is fine, but, you cut off quite a demographic if you don't appeal to the youth. And so I looked around, and I liked the style of a writer like Don Miller, maybe not the substance, but the style. And so I decided to try and do a treatment on the subject using that style, and hopefully it accomplished it in some way. But that's kind of how the book came about, and I didn't want to deal with a lot of the issues that the prophecy teachers had dealt with. For one thing, a lot of other guys have already dealt with those things at length. So I tried to do more of a.
It is more of a it is kind of a more of a popular
Right.
free-flowing style than the typical.
Right.
Quite unlike what I do. my stuff is kind of very detailed, and I try to cover all the bases in everything that I do. And of course, when I go and speak to young audiences, I have a little book that I put together that's illustrated and try to engage a younger audience as well. Same in the area of apologetics, because I see that you're also interested in the topic of apologetics and
Right.
trying to bring a young audience into a biblical understanding of these things. You've got to use illustrations. In fact, that's where a lot of these films come in, to help young people see the connection with these things in popular culture, which is another interest of mine.
Right.
So now, give us your interest in this particular topic. I had proposed a different topic to you. I wanted to do something on Ezekiel 38 and 39. I've been trying to find somebody to debate on Ezekiel 38 and 39, and I'm having a great deal of difficulty doing so. So kind of in the last couple of minutes that we have left, give us your idea of why this topic is modern-day Israel, fulfillment of Bible prophecy, is so important, let's say prophetically and historically.
Okay, sure. Well, for one thing, it's the whole issue is becoming a real debate within the church, and I get a lot of feedback from blogs from people who, asking questions, and they'll say, well, so-and-so believes this, and another person believes this, and so I actually see the whole issue of Israel and the church and things like that as an issue really on the rise. In fact, and it's just my opinion, but having watched the creation and evolution debate for years, I really have to, give credit where credit is due. I think people like the Morrises at ICR and people like yourself and Ken Ham have brought origins issues to the forefront, and not that the debate is over, that's settled, but there's been so many inroads made. But I see a little bit of a shift in interest in people in the church and into this whole thing about Israel, and is Israel the church, and vice versa, and that kind of thing. So it was just sort of a natural progression for me from my origins roots to studying predictive prophecy.
I don't want to have you tip your hand on some of your arguments and so forth. I've read your book. It's the End of the World as We Know It, and I Feel Fine. And I've read, of course, quite a bit among probably people that you know of, and you do write for WorldNet Daily, and they oftentimes have a number of prophecy articles on there. You also blog at the Israel Watch section of Rapture Ready, so I've read a lot of the material on the Rapture Ready site as well. But I'm looking forward to it. I haven't debated this particular topic before, but I think, like you, this is an extremely important topic, because I think down at the very hermeneutical level, it's important that we understand how one gets to a particular position, and that's where I'm going to spend most of my development of this, because I think there's a lot of misunderstanding, probably on both sides of this particular position, and a lot of confusion in the middle. And I'm hoping that a debate like this will help people at least sort out the basic interpretive model that people use in order to come to a particular position. I think that's oftentimes the most important aspect of this, because a lot of people on both sides of the question say, you're a heretic, or you believe in replacement theology, and I always ask them, well, give me a definition of replacement theology, and they're sitting there kind of stunned as to what that. They've only heard what other people have said about a particular topic.
Right.
And I get this the same thing with my preterist beliefs. And say, you're a preterist and that, and I said, well, explain preterism for me. And they sit there and get stunned. So, Jim, I'm looking forward to it. Again, it's going to be June 19th at Midway Presbyterian Church, Powder Springs, Georgia. You can go to our website, AmericanVision.org or .com, and look at the events section there. It's free for anyone who wants to come. There'll be a book table there as well. So, Jim, I'm looking forward to see you in June.
I'm looking forward to it as well. Thanks, Gary.
Okay.
Is modern-day Israel a fulfillment of Bible prophecy? Join Gary DeMar and Jim Fletcher for this Bible prophecy debate June 19th at Midway Presbyterian Church. Registration is free to the public. For more information and to register, visit AmericanVision.org/events. That's AmericanVision.org/events.